Y'all, it's Sheridan with House of Untamed Marketing, here with Marketing Mondays. It is 2020. I don't think I've recorded a Marketing Monday video since probably this time last year. It's kind of crazy. A lot has happened. It's really hard keeping up with consistency with videos and stuff. I'm doing way better with that though. That's my mid 2020 resolution, but super excited to bring back Marketing Mondays. I'm gonna have some videos featuring some other professionals in the branding world, just to provide other insight outside of areas that I'm not super skilled in, because I only can know so much. And so I have some friends who are skilled in branding, may do some legal topics revolving around marketing. So super excited to talk about that. Today, we are going to talk about how to plan a virtual event. I'm probably gonna do another video about event planning in general, but I will do a virtual event planning video because I recently just hosted the Bring in the Heat retreat virtual week with Untamed Lingerie, one of my brands, and Amber J Yoga, and it was super successful, but I learned a lot in a short amount of time. So I'm gonna talk to you, just run through some quick 10 steps, I would say, of getting your virtual retreat going from start to finish. And yeah, if you have any more questions, feel free to email me or DM me, and I will be sure to answer those. So the first step, of course, is what type of event do you want to do? Is it going to be a fitness event? Is it a panel event? Is it a one-on-one event? What are you going to do? Because whether we want to acknowledge it or not, we're probably going to be in quarantine for a while, or fake quarantine, because everybody's acting like we're out of quarantine all of a sudden. Obviously, because I have to go back to work. But that's neither here nor there. So first, figure out what type of event do you want to do. Is it going to be one day? Is it going to be multiple days? So once you figure that out, figure out your layout or the best avenue for that event. So originally, Amber J Yoga and I, we were going to do a 2-day retreat that we're still probably going to do. Not this year, but it was going to be super sexy. Kind of sad about it. But we were going to do a 2-day retreat. And we, as things progressed, we were just we don't want to risk it and have it in person. So we started to figure out how we can break it up into a virtual event. And we just felt like having people be online for 2 days, for 5 hours, was just unrealistic. Think about your attention span when you're at home, doing college classes, courses, watching YouTube videos. I can't watch a YouTube video that's longer than 20 minutes unless I'm busy doing something else. So keeping all those things in mind, we decided to spread out the event over a week. And so we did an hour workshop every week or every day. And so then you got to figure out what is the best time frame to do, especially since you're doing something virtually. So whether in person, you may say, hey, we can do 9 a.m. Virtually probably is not going to work. So we opted for 7:30 every evening, give people a chance to get off work, whether they're going in person or working from home, get settled in, and all those things. So we decided to do our week. It was 5 days, one and a half hours a day. And then once you decide that time frame, figure out what platform is going to work the best. So for us, we chose Zoom, and Zoom was pretty good. I know that there are paid features on Zoom where you can actually have your panel event where you just see the panelists. And so that was something we almost did, but it was man, paying $40, which I know is not a lot of money, but paying $40 for one day, Zoom doesn't have an option for you to use the feature just for one day. So we would have been paying for basically an entire month of a premium package for a 1-day event. So we were okay, we're just gonna risk it. We're gonna do the panel event without having, what's the word? I lost my train of thought. Oh, without having the paid option, which worked out really good actually, because the panel event, we were able to see the other panelists and the audience as they were interacting. So it really provided for a really interactive, more intimate setting versus if we had just had the screen with the panel. That might not work for your event. You may want it to be strictly only seeing the panelists and not any interaction from the audience. So just determine what you want that to look like. So once you figure that out, then figure out how you're gonna make your event personal while being virtual. It's catchy, huh? Personal while being virtual. So for us, that looked like goodie bags. So usually when I have an event in person, I have vendors and or I give goodie bags for people to take home. So for us, we had 5 or 6 events total within 5 days. And we decided to basically the things that they would need for those workshops, we collected all those items and then mailed it to the attendees. So it just added a nice personal touch of knowing, okay, we're not just all signing on to this event. We also have these cute little items to use for each workshop. So that turned out to be super cute. So think about those type of things. If you are an author, maybe sending them an ebook prior to, so everybody has the ebook. I'm trying to think of what other type of virtual events. Or if you don't want to send them something, have them all wear something similar. Or if you're gonna do a yoga event, having everybody turn their camera on and seeing them. Or if you're doing, for me, lingerie events, having people get on and wearing lingerie and robes to set the vibe. So that's something to think about, is how to make things personal when you're not doing virtual things, or how to make things personal when you're virtual. There are other ways to do that, whether it's having all the panelists wear the same attire, similar colors, things like that. So something else we did too, and once the event started, we would sign on like 15 minutes ahead of time. And so we kind of made it like a waiting room. Like we would have them in there. We made a screen that essentially was like the flyer. So we would have the flyer up on the screen. And we have music playing in the background for like 15 minutes to the event started. So kind of getting people just in the mood, kind of getting people warmed up, loosened up, just kind of like in the vibe of the event. So that's another way you can add value to your virtual event, is basically, having those extra touches for when they come into the event. So that's another way. So once you have, I'm kind of like going ahead of myself. So once you figure out what avenue you want to do, figure out how much you're going to charge. I think a lot of people are scared to charge for virtual events because it's not in person, but it's still the same content. So it's like going to online school, which is kind of debatable right now, but when you're going to online classes, when we were actually when school was operating as normal and we were in regular classes, you didn't pay less money because it was an online class. You paid the same amount of money. You were just taking it online because the content and the value is still the same. So my suggestion to individuals, of course, you're not going to charge $100. No offense if you do, go for it. You're not going to charge $100 for a virtual event, but you may charge $10. And it might balance out because I'm in Houston, but now that I'm doing a virtual event, we had individuals that were in Dallas, we had individuals in Atlanta be able to sign up because now they're, we're open up to other cities. And so with that being said, another opportunity that exists in that area is, say you're in your city and you can plan an event and only have 10 people, maybe you sell tickets, a ticket price for in-person, and say, hey, I'm gonna charge $50 for those who wanna come in person and experience, only selling 10 seats because of COVID and social distancing, and then also stream the event live. So then for the people who didn't wanna come in person or couldn't, you may charge them $10. So you're opening up yourself to be able to have different streams of revenue from the same event. And that was something that was suggested to me after the event. I'm like, man, we could have totally still had the in-person vibe that we wanted and just had people stream in virtually who couldn't make it. So those are things I'm thinking about for future events I'm planning for the rest of 2020, is to have that dual option of a limited amount of seats for social distancing, but if you want to chime in and zoom in, you can for a smaller amount. So think about what you want to charge. Still consider the amount of time you're putting into the event, especially if you're sending goodie bags, what that cost is going to take. You still deserve to be paid for your time for putting together the event and providing value and content to your attendees. So please don't be afraid to charge for virtual events just because they're virtual. You're still giving content away. You're not watching a TV show live. Sorry, I keep looking at the different cameras, but you're not watching a TV show live in the audience, but you're still paying for cable to watch it on TV. So think about it in that manner. Everything that you do for your business can be monetized, even if it's $5. Just don't make it for free. So once you figure out how much you want to charge, and also including in the cost if you are having to pay for Zoom features, or I know some people use Twitch and there's some other platforms that exist, incorporating that into the cost. So incorporate your time, incorporate any technology fees, fees for your graphic designer to make flyers, things of that nature. I would do that. So once you do that, you're ready to go live. So you create your Eventbrite. I personally am an Eventbrite junkie. I know other things exist, but I'm a creature of habit in certain areas. Like, especially when it's crunch time. Like, for future events, I may look into other platforms, but it's like, Eventbrite, I know how to work it. Deal with the devil that you know. So we use Eventbrite. Some feedback, I would say it was a little tricky to me when you're having a multiple day event, making sure that we could capture all of the information that we needed to provide for people to really get an understanding of the event. So what I ended up having to do is I basically made a landing page on my website where I had more space to outline how many to outline the different like workshops and stuff. So that's just feedback that I have is, don't be afraid to possibly use your personal website as a landing page to really make it aesthetically how you want it to look when you're planning the event. And then once you do that, then you can just have a link on your page like register here and just hyperlink it. So that's the feedback that I do have, because that was something that was kind of like toying with me. Like, I want things to look a certain way, and Eventbrite's not going to do that. So set up your Eventbrite. If people have questions on that, I may do a video on how to create an Eventbrite event, because I have people reaching out to me about that. So I probably will do a separate video. But yeah, create your Eventbrite. Make sure that you are having all your fees accounted for. Make sure you have your Zoom information, all those things. So once you do that, you're ready to go live. So because it's virtual, you are going to have to switch up your marketing and do different things of that nature. So I definitely encourage you to emphasize the value that they're going to get even though it's virtual. So sending out those email campaigns, doing those social media campaigns, and also following up. So something else that we ran into as a hiccup on Eventbrite was because it's a blessing and a curse. So on the good side, people could literally register for our event up to an hour before. Versus in person, we need to know like probably the day before, if not 2 days before. So that opened up a lot of opportunity for more income. So we earned a lot more money than we probably would have doing it in person, because we left it open. Like, in my experience, people are going to wait until the day before the event. Like, and this is like a thing I go through every time I have an event. I'm like stressing out because the registrations are not where I want them to be. I'm just like flustered about that. I'm like, I'm gonna cancel the event, and literally the week of the event, every single time, we get a crazy, I wish I could like give the numbers. I would say by the Sunday before, we probably had 10 people registered, which is not bad, because our goal was 20. By the end of the week, we probably had 55 people registered. So going into the Sunday before the event, we had about 10 people registered, and it's like it just slowly increased from there. So that's something else to keep in mind, and I'm probably gonna do a separate video just about event planning in general, but just keeping in mind that like people are last minute creatures. Think about yourself on the consumer side of things. How often do you really buy tickets early in advance for an event? Unless it's like an event where you know you have to plan early or they're gonna get sold out, you're not going to. So I have to remind myself of that, because sometimes I'm like, oh my God, we haven't sold any tickets. And then people are last minute. So that's something else to keep in mind. I think that is it. So you plan your events. I just skipped over a whole bunch of stuff. Actually, I lied. So you event days coming up, whoop, and you're like, going back to what I mentioned earlier, just adding those little touches of value. So for us, that looked like having music. We started 15 minutes early, letting people come into the room, seeing like the little flyer on the screen for whatever event was that day, having some music that went with the vibe. That's what that looked like. And then also with that, I was sitting on my ankle, y'all, and it hurt. But also with that, making sure you introduce as if you were in person. So, hey, how are y'all doing? I'm so-and-so, I'm the co-host of this event. Let me tell you what this event is about, and let me introduce you to the person of the night who's doing the event. Little things you may not think to do virtually because it's virtual versus in person. So that was good. Also, just not being afraid when you have, depending on how intimate your event is, not being afraid to have people come off of mute to interact. I think that's what adds value. Like we did it for probably almost every day, but I would say the last day with Goody Howard, who's a sexologist that we work with, we had people off of mute. That, or encouraging people to type in the comments and keep the conversation going. So that was important. Dropping important links is very important in situations like that. And then once the event is over, a few things that we did are, one, right now we're working on getting the video spliced up into small pieces to be able to repurpose it. We're also working on being able to get the retreats video, because we saved all of them from Zoom. So be sure if you use Zoom to save the videos. We saved all of them from Zoom, and then send a recap email. I do that regardless if it's in person or not. Send a recap email, and then we resend all the links. Because something that may differ between having a virtual event versus in person is that in person, people can pass out cards, people can give you their own goodie bags, all of that. You can network more, get social media. You can't really do that here. So what we did, and some things I got advice from Raisha from Every Dope Girl, she gave me some good advice as well. One thing, sending a recap email and tagging all the speakers, tagging everybody. Hey, thank you to so-and-so, thank you to Raisha, thank you to Sharice, tagging their websites, tagging their Instagram so people can go follow them. Reiterating what the event was about, putting any goodies and takeaways in the event. So if one of the speakers has a PDF they want to share, if they want to follow up with them, adding value in that manner. So that's also a good idea. Some other things, ideas I was given as suggestions, having your speakers especially change their name to their Instagram name. So instead of joining Zoom as Sheridan, I would join as @SheridanLeBay. So that provides a way for people to connect. Also, something encouraging people to change their background. So if the presenter has a special background, so it stands out amongst everyone else's, or a branded background, which is the idea Raisha from Every Dope Girl gave me, because that's something they're doing. Different things like that are what's going to make your event go from a random Zoom event to an experience. Like, I was very nervous doing the event. I knew I wanted to do it, but I was like, man, like, how are we going to provide value virtually? And it ended up being really great. It did. So that's something else to consider. And then also, I think that is it. And just having fun with it. I think it can feel super serious because you're on camera and you're like on the computer, but still adding your personality to the mix and still making it a comfortable environment. That would be my advice, and just go for it. I think there's a potential for any business owner to do some type of virtual thing. Whether it's, I know at the beginning of the quarantine, a lot of DJs were doing like DJ sets. A lot of people are doing virtual yoga and virtual gym sessions, and we had a cocktail section, a mixology section. You can literally do anything on Zoom. So think of ways, or not even just Zoom virtually. I'm not a Zoom partner. They're not paying me to advocate for them. But you can do anything virtually. So figure out your business niche, what you offer, and how you can turn that into something virtual. If you have questions about that or want to brainstorm, definitely DM me or email me, and we can brainstorm. If you are if you write and you want to do a writer's workshop, or you do makeup and you want to offer virtual makeup classes, like, there's really a lot of ways to get it in the pandemic. So, as Todd Capital says, it's a bandemic, not a pandemic. But all jokes aside, definitely hope you guys got some good content and takeaways from this. I will probably do another video on just event planning in general, because there are way more things that go into in-person events versus virtual events. But I did want to do that because I feel like I popped my cherry on virtual events, and now I feel like I can do anything. Super excited. Thank y'all for those who tuned into this, those who tuned into the virtual retreat. It's definitely appreciated. If you have questions or you have suggestions of like certain content that you want to see, definitely DM me, message me. As I said, I'll have some different business partners coming on doing some videos about branding and customer service and things of that nature. So this would not be the last time that you see me. I promise to not go a whole year without making marketing videos. But yeah, I'm at home. Got lots of ideas, so I'll be making videos. Again, for those who, if it's your first time watching, my name is Sheridan LeBay. I'm the owner of House of Untamed, where we house Untamed lingerie, Untamed marketing, and Untamed nights. My experience and background ranges from event planning and design to marketing and graphic design and everything in between. So if you have questions, want to learn more, if I don't have the answer, 9 times out of 10, I know somebody that I can connect you with to get you that answer. So until next time, I appreciate you tuning in. Thank you. Talk to y'all later.